Honorable Dr. Tyagarajan, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It's indeed an honor for me to do the keynote for the first South First Dakshin Dialogue. It also has a tagline which says people and technology governance for tomorrow. What I intend to do as a kickstart for this keynote is bring you a perspective of the technology industry and also, of course, weave it into issues like education, innovation, entrepreneurship, and the most important one finally is about collaboration, which I think is the key for our success in future. I've spent a fairly long life. God has been kind to me. And equally importantly, I spent a lot of my life in the technology industry. I was one of the few people who used to call this as a technology industry as opposed to calling it as IT industry. I thought IT was just a transient flow. It was technology which was the bigger chunk of what was happening around the world. It's a fairy tale in terms of what happened with the IT industry in this country. The beginnings were way back in 1980s, but the first inflection point came in 1990s because of the then very visionary leaders, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh, opening up this economy, globalization, and as a result of it, I think there was a big inflection in terms of what technology industry could do for rest of the world. And truly, it is a fairy tale because in 1990s, when this initiatives were being taken, this industry was as small as $200 million. Fast forward 30 years, it becomes $200 billion. It's 1,000x never experienced anywhere in any industry, anywhere in the world. It morphed itself into a number of different business models, number of go-to-market strategies, number of service offerings. A number of naysayers said, this will not last too long, especially after the Y2K disappeared from the world. They said Y2K was the one which brought India to limelight, and Y2K is all done, so therefore nothing is left behind. But then we found a new one called the dot-com. The dot-com burst when people said, this is end of it. No, we rejuvenated ourselves, reskilled ourselves. So it goes on and on. And the end result is, it's a very strong industry at this point of time. As I said, $200 billion of revenue, just in terms of exports. If you actually, I believe, add about under $60 billion or so of domestic, it's about a $260 billion industry. Equally important is that it created enormous amount of employment. Currently, the MeitY numbers that are presented in their website itself shows there are as many as about 5.43 million professionals that are employed by this industry directly. And our number is anywhere between 3 times to 4 times is the indirect employment, which says that there are another 20 million people who are indirectly employed by this industry. So for all that has happened so far, a number of new dimensions have come into this industry, including when it started off, it was in the lighter vein, people used to call it body shop, and then it became a time and material. Thereafter, it became outcome-based, and risk-taking abilities of people came in. But also what we saw is it was not pure IT. Then the BPO came into existence. The ER&D came into existence. There's several new service offerings came into play with this industry. Where do we stand today? I feel very, very honored and privileged that there is one segment of this industry called ER&D, which is engineering and research and development. I pioneered this industry. And this is actually the poster child for the technology industry today. Last year, it had the highest amount of growth, the ER&D part of it. The second one is that we believe that today India continues to be the destination for most of the multinationals for outsourcing. And more importantly, they now have another phenomena called the GCCs, Global Capability Centers. In global capability centers, approximately the numbers are about 1,800 of them are there in India, which means the large multinationals, including the Fortune 100 companies, have set up their own centers in India, and a fairly large number of them are in the southern part of India. We'll come to that in a minute. So still, for GCCs, India is a favored destination. The third one is that we also see a very positive impact coming out of domestic business. We see traction coming from the domestic business, which was never experienced so far. We also see that there is fairly large amount of focus or emphasis that's being laid on skills. That's it. And then making sure that people are job ready rather than just say, we've graduated people. So these are some of the trends that we are seeing as of now with this industry. Let me then say, where does South stand? We're all talking about South first. It's an amazing story thereafter. The top three states again, which does software exports, are in South India. There's three states I can call out: Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Telangana. That's an amazing stuff. And between the 5 states, I can't say South is just 3 states, people will club me. So you add those 2 other states of Kerala and Andhra Pradesh, it takes you to a number somewhere between 60 to 65% of volume of business comes out of these 5 states. And you look at employment too, 2/3 of the employment in the IT industry, 2/3 of revenues from the 5 states, a half of the employment is from these 5 states. There's yet another data point that I think is very important for us to remember is we're all talking about startups. So the last number that the nodal agency called DPIIT, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce, laid out was there are about 140,000 startups registered with them. There, I think we will talk about a little later, but we have as few as about 40,000 of them are, according to that particular list, shows up in the southern part of India. So on many parameters, South has done very well with the technology industry. So what is future holding for us? So if you look at the technology industry, the growth has slowed down a little bit. Last year, the global industry growth was about 4.4%. But one of the key things that comes out of every CXO, I think the number was 95% of CXOs talked about the future of technology is all centered around AI, artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence is certainly having a profound amount of effect on our lives. And it's therefore a key priority for the technology industry. So let me very briefly tell you that, how the trifecta of development, users, and monetization, 3 of them, are working on the AI industry. First, let's look at where did the AI start off? If you look at, and then start comparing with human intelligence. The first attempt that was made by AI with a 0 level of human intelligence built into it was with handwriting recognition. That was in 1998. It went on step by step. By 2017, that's about 19 years thereafter, 2014, 16 years thereafter, is when we saw the computers can do 100% recognition of handwriting. So was the case with speech recognition. That also started off around the same time, 1998. By 2017, it took 19 years, we almost got to a level of perfection of 100% of efficiency. But more importantly, what we're seeing is further, is there are areas where it is taking much shorter time. Look at image recognition for that matter. In image recognition at this point of time, where zero-level intelligence was at 2000, by 2009 was zero level. 2015, 6 years thereafter, it's at 100%. Actually, it goes to one more step, which might unnerve some of us. Is it right now at 130% of human efficiency? That's what image recognition is. So you can derive two things. The pace at which the development is happening is becoming shorter. The second one is it is beating the human intelligence. This will go on and on into a number of areas. That's the development part. My second trifecta is all about users. ChatGPT got their first million users in just 5 days. Data point, iPhone, which was considered to be one of the game-changing technologies in this world, took 74 days. If you say, no, it was hardware, you need to get devices and so on and so forth. The other data point people talk about is Facebook. Facebook took 7 months before they got their 1 million users. That's about users. Let's look at the monetization part. Now, again, ChatGPT this year will do a revenue of $3.4 million. Sorry, it's not ChatGPT, it's OpenAI. OpenAI will do $3.7 billion of revenue this year. That's the pace with which they're in a position to monetize. You don't need to wait for years and years together saying that, we're investing in development. We're investing in buying markets. We're investing in customer acquisition. But you get into a mode where you say, we can monetize it too. That's how technology is progressing. So the sum total of the story is that what we are seeing is that technology is progressing faster. It's becoming equally efficient as the human beings. It certainly is reaching out to a number of people. Equally important is it's also money-earning business. The other very interesting thing that we have seen is that it's become all-pervasive. It's at one point of time, you look at information technology, where I started my career. What were we doing? Accounting, payroll, inventory control. That's it, 3 applications. But today, you look at the applications and industries, you just stretch your imagination. Whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, it is logistics, it's agriculture. Anywhere you think about it, there's an application. So the addressable market has grown many-fold as we see at this point of time. Let me then quickly move on. So what brought us here? The 2 things I'd like to just touch upon is one is certainly enormous amount of infrastructure that got created. I think we should give credit to the right people. They created the digital infrastructure. Connectivity became a very small thing, whether it's broadbanding or it's mobile technologies through which we have connected each other. We certainly have seen enormous amount of infrastructure that was built. The government, and I acknowledge Dr. Tyagarajan and his party and the rest of the people, did a phenomenal job, various different governments from time to time, in making sure that they created the right infrastructure for this industry to prosper. Whether it is the layouts, roads, power, connectivity. And in the lighter vein, I keep telling people, 10 years back in summers, the facilities that I have used to appear as if it's a graveyard for generator sets. Any generator set, every generator set in town used to be hired by us. Because we never thought, we will have power shortage for 10 hours, 12 hours at a time. And so therefore that was there. And now fast forward, it doesn't appear anymore. I'm sure it's true with many other cities in India. So ability to give us infrastructure certainly. And then ease of doing business has grown considerably. I belong to a generation where I was involved in hardware business, system integration business between 1982 to 1992. And what was effectively happening is that we used to import some of the peripherals. And my C&F agent used to send me a sheet every Monday morning. Consignment landed. When will it be cleared? 3 months from now, 4 months from now. That's how it used to be. It doesn't hold good anymore. I think we had to give a lot of credit to the governments for improving the ease of doing business. Certainly, I think the digital awareness has grown considerably in this country, and that has also helped us. But then the question that then comes back is, if this is the situation, or you still have advantages like the demographic dividend, and certainly I think we also have a large capacity of education. I'll talk about it in a minute, but just give you a headline numbers. We currently have, I believe the closest that comes is China. We currently have 15 lakh undergraduate engineering seats in this country. Don't ask me about questions on quality, we'll come to that in a minute, but that's what the capacity is, only next to China. And out of this 15 lakhs, as much as about 35% to 40% of it is right here in southern part of India. So what are the challenges as we see as we move forward? The first one is that so far this industry, or the technology industry, has been extremely service oriented. So we provide services to our customers. So how do you do services is, if you want to do a service to your customer, what do? The customer tells you what to do, and then you do it for them. But now things have changed dramatically. The customers are not there, actually. They do not have that innovation within them to tell you what they want. They only know that their business has to be good. So they shifted even innovation into your portfolio. They want you to come and say, I've heard these conversations with even the largest aircraft manufacturers. My competitor has A, B, C, D features. Do you have any of these technologies which can address them? Or do you have innovation that you can say you'll better the aircraft than what my competitor is doing today? So that is one challenge that we will have. Have we got that mindset shift from moving from services, which I keep saying, just hearing and doing, as opposed to now thinking and doing? They're completely different. That shift is something which is certainly very, very critical for us. And the product development mindset, if you look at how technology is progressing, its services will come down. What will increase is the product and platform and systems. That particular mindset has to change, and that change cannot happen just in companies. It has to come from the feeder, or come from the input that's coming into the companies, which means the students have to bring in. The students of today are not necessarily the students who probably can change. We need to start this way back in the school system. We also think that there is our ability to understand the global challenges are good, but somehow our mindset seems to be more on incremental innovation as opposed to disruptive innovation. We think about small things being done as opposed to big things being done. You look at even the startup ecosystem. There's no denying at all. There are companies like Joho, Freshworks, or Tally. Some of them are product companies, all right. But they're not still the same type of companies that we've seen in the West. We have to get there. So what do I submit to the August audience today are 3 things. Number 1 is that we should definitely relook at our talent. Our education and skilling has to be revamped considerably. There's no denying at all that NEP 2020, which came in the year of 2020, is very visionary policy of Government of India, well being implemented by a number of states around the country. Some form or other, not necessarily in full form. But I think the key to it lies in the execution of it. Policies are good, but somebody has to come in terms of executing it. So there are a number of elements which certainly would make our children more creative. We have to move away from that rote learning of mugging and then vomiting thereafter. We should become thinkers. So therefore, the first and the foremost there in that particular value chain I keep talking about is the teacher has to change. So can we bring back with interventions with the teachers, skill them, upgrade them, not once, on a continual basis. The second one is, if you look at the student at this point of time, is far different from the student of the past. Student in the past had sources of knowledge were very limited. It was the teacher at one stage. It became books in the second stage. And the third stage is one-way electronic communication. But today he has got so many options. Unless the teacher creates value, the student won't be listening. So therefore, we need to do enormous amount of work in making sure that the teachers change. And the third one is continuously this technology will change. In 2018, I did a fairly large piece of work for Ministry of Education, Government of India, where we talked about future technologies that will be prevalent. We called out 8 of them. We were fairly right. But then I don't think they'll stand the test in another 2 years from now. And so therefore, it's constantly you need to upgrade your curriculum, upgrade your teacher, upgrade your teaching methodologies as the student changes because of the environmental change. I also teach in IIT, I teach a course on leadership. And I keep saying, 10 minutes is the attention span of the student. You can say my class is 1.5 hours. After 10 minutes, if you're not interesting, the brave guy will take out his smartphone and start texting in front of you. The not so brave guy will put it underneath the table and start texting. But the common thing is they're texting anyway. So therefore, I think one emphasis I'm making is certainly we need more amount of focus on our education and skilling. The second one that I'll call out is that our ability at this point of time to find more amount of startup ecosystem. I think we need startups more than at any point of time in the world. The opportunities are plenty at this juncture. Why am I saying we require more amount of startups at this juncture? Is that today India has this advantage of demographic dividend. But as a result of that, what we do is we put 1 million people every month in streets of India for jobs that effectively would come down to as many as 10 million people for jobs every year. Or this window is at least for 20 years, but even if you look at 10 years, you require 100 million jobs, 10 crore net new jobs. And the way in which these net new jobs got created all over the world, 60% of net new jobs get created by startups, small, medium companies. There's enough evidence of it. So therefore, we need to create an ecosystem which can promote these startups. And how do they happen? Our ability to innovate, our ability to think differently, our ability to challenge the status quo, our ability to take risks in life. Calculated risks, all right. And that cannot happen when they come into college, they graduate from college, now suddenly do you want a shift in the student? It can't happen. So we have to catch them young. We need to start thinking about changing our curriculum way into the school system itself, where we'll start thinking about a lot more disruptively, think about innovatively to ensure that we will have more solutions to people, and those solutions will lead us into a situation where we'll create more amount of jobs. There are classic examples that are there already. Japan, South Korea, China, all 3 countries had demographic dividend. Japan and China, South Korea have gone out of it. China is still in it. An enormous amount of progress we said economically for these nations, and also in creating more amount of facilities for the citizens. My third input is all about collaboration. We need to collaborate more because in an environment that we are in today, we can't be in a standalone mode. We individuals cannot contribute by themselves. You The industry cannot do it by itself. The education institutions cannot by themselves. Government cannot do by itself. So at the level one, I would say the collaboration has to be between individuals within organizations, whether they are academia, government, or industry. And the second one is in between these institutions. I've been doing a little bit of work in the recent past on what I call it as a translational research. What we see today in academic institutions, pardon me, I can see Professor P.J. Narayan, the director of IIIT, may not apply to IIIT, P.J. Ngaru, but this is the general trend that you've seen. I actually made a presentation to all the IIT chairmen in the recent past. And what is happening is the research comes down to a TRL2 or TRL3 level. Good research. But then what happens is, what does it do thereafter? It helps you in terms of publishing. It helps you in terms of improving your H index. There'll be more citations would happen. Is that good enough? Amount of money that's being spent by the time is humongous. So somebody has to take it to the TRL 7 or 8, which comes down to prototyping. And so therefore, I think that collaboration we're trying to promote, because that would happen only when the industry starts taking interest in the academia and trying to encourage them, and it's vice versa. And both of us sit in two different cocoons. There's so much of trust deficit. You have to experience it when you start talking to people. Academia thinks they're doing their best. Industry thinks that, they know the best. And why do they don't talk to each other? Academia is very slow. Academia thinks about industry saying they want everything yesterday. It's not even tomorrow. So these are the ones which we need to address in order to ensure that we will certainly prosper in years to come. And so the partnerships, collaboration between various stakeholders is very important for prosperity of this industry as we move forward. There comes the other connectivity, is that southern states which are doing so well so far can also further collaborate in ensuring that we go to the next step. The host, the MC, was kind enough to introduce saying my contribution to T-Hub. And there is equally important one called K-Start in Karnataka. I think learning from each other, learning the best practices from each other is one way in ensuring that we can bring this development across every citizen of this nation. Not necessarily. And what is this benefit that's coming out from the technology at this point of time is not just limited to the people in the city of Hyderabad or anywhere else. It definitely means that we are trying to improve the global standards itself. The beneficiaries at the end of it is not just people located in one location, but all across. So in conclusion, my three submissions are, one is if we want to certainly move forward, in the part of the Dakshin dialogue, is ensuring that we collaborate more, we focus on startups, and we should definitely make sure our education and the skilling systems improve in years to come. I think the rest of the program, certainly I was very impressed with how Mr. Vasu and the rest of his team have done in curating this. I think you will have sessions on skill gap and employability, the role of government, which is very important, especially given some of the challenges we have in data security, cyber security, ethical AI, and so on and so forth, and several more topics. So therefore, urban-rural divide, and I also saw the importance of AI in society. So have great sessions later in the day, and thank you very much to the South First and Vasu especially for inviting me this morning. Thank you.